Can you hear me now? Can everybody give me a thumbs up? You hear me? All right, good. I muted everybody. Bruce suffered a loss that none of us would ever imagine or want to have ever happened to us or even our worst enemy. So let's just keep Bruce in your prayers. Bruce is a good man. The short time that I've been dealing with Bruce, he's been great to deal with, and it's just you can't say too much about it. So all right, let's talk about some football. Let's move on. Next session scheduled after tonight will be March 23rd. That session will be brought by Rob Ritterelli and Mike Bartram, and that discussion that evening will be holding. So please note that in your calendar on March 23rd. As a reminder, another reminder will be going out tomorrow, the 10th, and also on the 20th and also the 24th. A reminder on if you have any mechanics changes to be submitted to the 6-man committee, they'll be submitted to me, and please get them in. The format for the submission will be again sent to you. They'll be due by the 24th, Friday the 24th, because we're going to be setting up a meeting for the committee to review the changes. We've already gotten a handful of them in. So for those of you who sent them in, thank you. If I should have, I think I did acknowledge everybody that sent them in to let them know it's been received. As a reminder, the NJFO clinic, we will be talking about this all spring, is August 5th at Sayreville High School, starting at 8:30. And registration will open sometimes toward mid to end of May. I don't have that exact date in front of me. And then that's about it for that. Just reminder items. So we're going to go into tonight. Vic Simon's going to make the presentation. And the presentation tonight is going to be on O2O usage and also pregame responsibilities for officials. And if I don't know if Vic's elaborating anymore at halftime or post game or anything, but I'll leave that solely up to him. But as we all know, we always talk about this, but it's those little things. If we're doing the little things right, the big things will fall into place. Always say that. I'm a firm believer of that. So with that being said, I'm going to, Vic, you are set up as a co-host, so you can take this away. I will mute my button and the show is yours. So everybody, okay. Welcome Vic, and please mute and pay attention. And if you have a question, throw it in the chat. I'll be monitoring.
Yeah, I'm just hoping everything goes through here. Let's see. Share screen. Okay, pregame. Okay. Does everybody see the screen out there? Scott, you see, you hear me and see?
Oh yeah. Just get to slide 1 and you'll be good.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah. I guess let me get this set up here. All right. Why isn't it going?
There you go.
Okay. Here we go. All right. Pre-game conferences. All right. Basically, before the pre-game conferences start, one of the jobs that you have to deal with is Monday or Tuesday. The referee of the group usually gets in contact with the home team. You're going to talk to the AD, or as I found out, somebody's still on. Okay. But you're going to talk to the AD or the secretary. And I found out that probably 90% of the time you're talking to the secretary now. And you're going to, introduce yourself, find out that everything's clear with the game, the starting time, parking, where are you supposed to park, anything going on before the game, anything going on at halftime, what's the story, and how to be in contact with you should something come up. Now, as we didn't in the past, but you can exchange cell phone numbers just in case something comes up so that both are in contact with each other. And I find it very, every AD likes to know that they have some type of connection with the people coming to do the game. After that, You're going to have your game on most likely now, recently Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday afternoon. Basically, you're going to come to the meet into the room with the other officials, and you're going to have your pregame conference. Okay. Basically, what you're doing with the pregame conference, you're going over recent review rule changes. Could be part of your discussion. Everybody's going to sync their watches. Okay, make sure we're all on the same page. And they're going to talk about any topics or plays that maybe somebody might know about, somebody has heard about, maybe it came up in a meeting. Okay, real quick. Okay. We're going to talk about, what you're going to do before the game starts, the toss of the coin. Usually that happens approximately 3, and I'm saying up to 5 minutes before the game time. All players still off the field. You're talking to, with the all the officials are getting in cahoots now where they're supposed to be, what they're going to be doing. After the coin toss, everybody meets at the 50 and shares the results of what the toss was. After that, usually put a little hand together, a little salute, and then we're off to the races and go to your respective spots. Good now. All right, after the coin toss, as you know, there's a kickoff. So basically, you're going to talk about doing this pregame. Where's everybody supposed to be lined up? What you're looking for. The umpire, after administering his kick, he's going to make sure he checks on all the other officials to make sure they're all in position. And he'll notify everybody by putting his hand up. And the referee will see that and blow the whistle. You're going to go over each position. You're going to talk freely out there. Where on the field, what sideline coverage, who has what, who does what. So everybody's getting in cahoots with each other. What to do if there's an apparent onside kick. I know myself and our crew, we like to use, if any of us catches an inkling of an onside kick or something, we like to take the beanbag, give it a little wave to everybody. And this way we start making our move. And if you do have the O2Os working, it's also a good time to communicate with everybody else that let's get in position. The linesman and line judge will move accordingly up to their positions, and we'll be ready for the onside kick. Everybody's looking at starting the clock. You're talking about who's going to give the signal, where's the ball, all that stuff. You're going to go over what type of coverage you're going to have on the runs, being in the position that you're at. The deep people, the ball carriers in front of you, you're going up the field in thirds. And the other officials downfield are starting to talk about what they're going to do as their coverage. And everybody needs to be talking to each other. What to deal with a fair catch, whether it be valid or invalid. It does happen on the kickoffs. So you need to be aware of what to do. And also the bean bags, everybody out there with the first touching if necessary. Also, everybody's talking to each other. Let's keep our eyes open for anything, any blocking below the waist, blocks in the back, anything like that. Okay, let's move on. Okay. And you're going to talk about kicks. We went from the kickoff. We're going to the scrimmage kicks now. You're going to talk about whether the kicks are touched or untouched by K or R after crossing the neutral zone. Who's got what? Who's doing what? Kicks that do not cross the neutral zone. What's the story? Who's got the coverage on that? The ball's behind the line of scrimmage. Everybody, referee is basically staying back with the punter and observing what's going on. And the up wings are good. The short wings are going to talk about picking up the ball on those type of situations where the ball's behind the line of scrimmage on a kick. You're going over the long or short kicks out of bounds, which official the referee is going to work with as far as signals and stuff, where it goes out of bounds, and dealing with the O2Os makes it a lot easier now. You can be talking to the person as they're running down the field or resort back to the whistle when it happens. You got the officials downfield looking for their first touching. Okay, make sure your bean bags are ready. You're taking a look, talking, eye contact with each other too, making sure everybody's on the same page. You're looking for whether to catch a recovery by R receivers or Ks, and what to do with the whistle, whether to blow it or not. You're going to make that decision. Fair catch signals, who's got it? You have your short guy and your deep guy down by the returner, and you want to make sure that everybody can see everything, especially that fair catch signal. Make sure you see it, and if you do have it, make sure you react accordingly. If the whistle needs to be blown, and kill everything dead. The short wings, you're looking to make sure that the kick goes across the line. So you're waiting till once it goes past the line, then we have the kick in action. You got to make sure the wings, short wings, deep wings, whether it be a short kick, long kick, the receiver has an opportunity to catch that kick. Okay, so be leery, judgment call, make the decision. And you're going to talk about roughing the kicker. Generally, that's the referee's call. You're going to make a decision. Is it a 5-yarder, 15-yarder? You want to make sure you're in good position behind the line of scrimmage and behind the kicker. Muff or fumble, same scenario. Who's got the whistle? Who's got the bag? Usually when you see a bag out there, that means keep the whistle away from your mouth. Okay, because you want to wait until everything dies in place before you make any type of a move with the whistle. Remember, the play always kills itself. Okay, and then you're going to talk about after that, we're going to go to the running plays. And on that, you got your short wings you're talking about who's got the spot. The two wingmen will talk to each other about that. If you're the same crew all the time, you pretty much everything's in sync. But when you get a replacement or you have a bunch of different officials working with each other, you need to get this straightened out before you get on the field. Okay. What else we got here? We got the watch for the close measurements. Make sure you're running. You got a short spot. It's first and less than one, second less than anything less than one. You want to make sure where the ball is, which side the ball is going to, you're running in to take care of it. And so the two wingmen will be talking and looking at each other, making the move done on that type of play. The wings, short wings, watch for the crackbacks. The wings also have the man in motion away from you. Make sure you're going right down, observing which way he's going. Is he going forward or is he going backwards? Basically, the side zone, you're going to have the referee, the umpire, field judge, side judge are cleaning up the action outside of where the ball has been called dead. False starts, umpire, line, the short wings, who's moving, who isn't moving. Referee helps out on it also. You're talking about with the free blocking zone, establish that these guys have wide stances, short stances, sort of helps define what that free blocking zone is. Whistle down, stopping at first downs. Usually, you remember, line judge. You're the guy making that call. So everybody is in tune with you. You got a first down, you kill it, everybody follows up with it. Also, remember on any plays, especially in the interior, do not blow the whistle unless you see the ball. Very important, because inadvertent whistles can kill a game really quick. And myself in particular, I do not hold my whistle in my hand. If I see something coming up, I want to be able to reach for it so I don't have to get myself in trouble. You have two different types out there. You got the finger whistle and the lanyard. I'm a lanyard myself. Everybody has their own way, but deal with it accordingly. Legal snap ball, the umpire will take care of that most likely. Blows the whistle, ball remains dead. Okay, let's move on. So you got goal line or short yardage plays. Head linesman, line judge, forward.
Hey, Vic, I got a question about an illegal snap.
Okay,
Just real quick.
go ahead.
You got a quarterback in the shotgun, and the center fucking he just flubs it. Is that an illegal snap where it just kind of just rolls?
What do you, is this Kevin?
Kevin Bobrowski,
Yeah,
yes.
Kevin, you're saying what, the ball, the center puts the ball, does it go through his legs?
It goes through his legs, but it's just rolling on the ground because he might have slipped or something like that. Is that an illegal snap?
I have a live ball. I got a live ball.
A
Okay,
fumble.
all right. Just checking, that's
It's,
all.
yeah, whoever just shouted that out, you got a fumble sitting there in front of you.
All right, very good.
The illegal snap is, when the center jerks, with the head or
Yeah, all right.
pushes it forward, that'd be like your illegal snap. But once the ball is in a backward motion and it leaves the center's hand, you got a live ball. Okay? All right, make sure we're seeing leather here. Yeah, the referee, if rare, you're never going to signal that first score. It's going to be your linesman, your head, or your line judge that'll be making that call. Okay, and it doesn't. And remember, there was no mirroring. It's if you see it, your hands go up. If you both see it, then both sets of hands go up. But you don't mirror each other because you don't want to run into any problems. Okay. Umpire never signals unless literally, nobody else has a view and the guy's laying at your feet. You might want to communicate real quick, but I don't see an umpire giving a signal for any type of score. Okay. And that, like I said, these are things that you're going to talk about in the pregame. What am I going to do? What can the umpire, you remember back in the past, he used to bump his chest or do some type of signal, but then the coaches started picking up on it and, it became an ugly conversation out there. Well, the umpire says, he gave the signal it was, and this guy didn't say it was. So talk it over before you leave the club room, before you walk onto the field, get it straightened out. Okay, let's go down to forward pass plays. Excuse me. Linesman and line judge, make sure you know who your eligible receivers are, basically by number and position. The short wings, again, responsibilities for the ineligibles downfield, and if the pass also crosses the neutral zone, which can be important information if there's any type of a flag and has a termination on a foul that's going on. The umpire's got the secondary responsibility for the ineligibles downfield. Okay. Referee has to note the eligible backs, run pass option coverage. Everybody has their keys. Make sure you're in position, stay focused. The referee's got the passer to the line of scrimmage. After that, whatever side he's going on or up the middle, those officials in that area will pick him up. You need to know if the pass is legally thrown. Referee covers the passer, but don't. And it can happen out there. The eyes stay with the quarterback and the people charging. The lineman coming in ready to take him out. Don't pull yourself out of that because you could get something if you tend to follow the flight of the ball after it leaves the quarterback's hand. The short wings again are responsible for the quick pass, forward or backwards. The deep wings should be ahead of all passes. And if I'm not mistaken, you should be given a good buffer down there. And if you've been paying attention, maybe during pregame, you're seeing who some of these receivers are. They've got some good speed. You don't want to shortchange yourself by being up too close. Usually, I think what minimum is 25 yards down. So don't let them get behind you. It's really not acceptable. And it's just bad optics for everybody. You're going to be talking about zone coverage. What do we do if we got 3 on one side? What do we do if this, that? You get this all straightened out before you walk out of the locker room. Screen passes, who's got who? Catch and forward progress. Same scenario. Officials on those sides, make sure you're staying focused. going downfield, momentum rule on kicks. Well, this is on pass play, but momentum on a deep pass, and you're in that 5 yard to the goal line. Make sure you understand what's going on. That's where the deep wings take over. Okay, roughing the passer. Most of the time, that's going to be the referee calling that. You're going over eligibles going out of bounds. Who's watching it? Okay, is it, did he go out? Was he knocked out? Did he go out by himself? Make sure you're looking for that. Short wings got the forward progress and sideline from end line to end line. Okay, wide responsibility. All right, field goal and try for point. Okay, you're going to be talking about positions here. Field goal, the field judge and side judge, you got the call. Okay, make sure you're coordinated together so that everybody talk to each other. When you're moving forward, when you're not moving forward, you guys work it out. And like I said, in the locker room is when you get this squared away during this pregame. Referee, you're responsible for the action with the kicker and holder. Okay.
Help.
Good. Hello? Okay, I thought I missed something. Okay. The side judge, oops, that's a little mistake there. Side judge has the whistle. Okay. Remember, if there's kick, basically 1,000, it's through the uprights or wherever it's past the goal line, most likely. Particularly on extra points. Field goal might take a little longer. So be careful of the whistles on field goals that don't make it to the end zone. Make sure where everybody's aware of that and make sure that's part of your discussion. Of the unsuccessful kick. Do not blow the whistle if it doesn't hit the end, goal line. You got a live ball. The deep wing, ball goes between the uprights, not over, to be successful. Very simple. Let's move on from there. Measurements, ball always gets placed parallel to the sideline. Okay, then here's where you're discussing in the locker who does what. Make sure so we look good out there with the optics. Line judge gets a good spot for the linesman to come out and put the ball, to put the chain down. Linesman, when you grab that chain, make sure you got a good hand on it. So this way, in case there's any motion while going out where it could be jerked out of your hand. And that's where the clip comes into play. So you have to have an absolute note where the ball, where the chain will be set down on the yardage marker. Okay, the umpire stretches the chain, the referee makes a decision. No, gentlemen, ladies, no cards. You look at it, does it touch the front of the ball or not? And in the past, you used to have some people used to break out a card, it was that close. It either is or isn't, plain and simple. Let's see, the line, okay. Discussion, linesman, what he's going to do, putting the clip on the yard line nearest the rear rod. This way, in case anything screws up, you know what, you have a good place. Also, the down marker will be placed at the furthest chain spot, the line to gain. So that this case, in case something happens to knock it off, you got a place to go to. And then the field judge makes sure the ball is not moved prior to the measurement. Okay, keeps a stern hand on that ball. All right, let's move on. Fouls. Okay, very simple. You know, you're amongst each other there. Now you're talking. What's the status of the ball when the foul has occurred? Here it is. Referee is going to give the foul verbally to the captain. Okay, and the umpire, the official calls the foul, stays by the R to make sure he understands the foul. Now you're giving the foul verbally to the captain, but I don't know if your referees out there, if anything has been adjusted. But when I do a game, most of the time, I'm really not talking to the captain. And in the pregame that you have with the coach, I'm basically impressing on the coach that we will talk to the coach The wings will talk to the coach, giving him the options. And if need be, the referee will talk to them. But lately, and most of the coaches are 100% behind you, if you go straight to them. Okay? I don't know if we want to keep that in practice, but I find it works very well, and all the coaches seem to agree with it tremendously. Okay? You're going to signal the foul, you pre-signal to the press box of what you actually have. Okay? Remember the deep wings, you're going to make contact through the 020, which has helped out because now you're not running 30, 40 yards to talk to each other. And you need to know about the foul number and what's going on. And they will relay that information. The wings will make that information available to the coach. I mean, here it says field judge and side judge, but I see the two short wings also. You're usually the ones that are closest to the coaches most of the time. The coach will make his call. Then you're going to march it off. And the umpire steps off the penalty with the head linesman. But everybody, make sure everybody knows what's going on the field. Where the ball was, where it's supposed to be. 020s again, talking to each other helps out. And then the headline, the short wings, make sure that they have the correct enforcement with the umpire. Everybody ends up in the same spot. If we don't, we need to talk with each other. And it's in those situations when you're talking in the locker room that you're going to make sure, Jim, Gerald, whatever, make sure you talk to me, make sure we have everything right before we move completely. You're going to go over penalties that extended periods, basically those penalties that occur during a play when the clock runs out. Remember, that's during the play, not after it's ended, not, when the play is ran, then the extended period would come into effect if determined by the declination or acceptance of the penalty and whether it was on offense or defense. Each one has its end result. The official calling the foul, he's responsible for, making sure that we end up with the right spot after we've marked off the yardage. But the whole crew is responsible for getting it right. Let's talk to each other. It's all about communication. Like I said, while you're in this locker room, get that squared away. Timing and timeouts. Okay. Team is attempting to run out the clock. Everybody should be judicious out there. What's going on? What's the clock? Under 2 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Know what happens if there's a foul, who gets the foul, who has the foul, and what you're going to do. Under 2 minutes, the offended team has the option on the ready, on the snap. Okay. And the wing officials, make sure you're talking to the coaches about it too. All right. It says here the umpire should remind the quarterback where the field judge is positioned as a referee. I mean, you're closest with the quarterback, so usually I'll talk to him too and let him know where he is in relation to him. The side judge times the length of the timeouts. Field judge is the play clock. And he holds up his arm, with 5 seconds left, and then begins to chop. Positions of the officials during timeout. Where does everybody go? Okay. You're really not supposed to, unless there's like some purpose, you're really not supposed to get together and chew the fat, as they say. But unless it's something that's going on with the game, then you're going to come, ask the question. But go to your position where you're supposed to be. Make sure all officials recording timeouts, which I think everybody does. Timeout by who, blah, blah, blah. After the third timeout, I'll notify the coaches. The referee will notify the coaches of no more timeouts on the field. Okay. And also your wingmen too can also remind the coaches too. Everybody should be knowing what the clock is doing at all times. Okay. Then you're going to talk about who's doing what at the end of the half. You know, referee and umpire coming together, get the ball. Everybody else has their own little job to do. Let's get it squared away in the locker room here. Like I said, you're not going to gather together for a bull session, but that's about it. Okay, if time is also kept on the field, now we come in. Remember, you got to notify the benches of the 4-minute warning. Should that happen, you know, you got a faulty clock or something. 4-minute warning comes into play. Okay, timing and timeouts. We're done with that. Let's move on. Substitutions. Wingmen, be alert for replaced players. One on, one off, one off, one on. Make sure you're keeping it, count of that. Also, you've got your deep wings. They're counting the defensive players. Your umpire and referee are counting the offensive players. That's also a good feature to know whether you have the substitutions have been completed or not. Okay. Remember, to replace player comes onto the field, checks in with whoever, and then the other player needs to leave. Usually, it used to be, you know, I give 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. By then, they should be making a move. If I got to yell at the person or any official that's out on the field needs to yell at somebody, get moving or whatever, do it. Be preventive, proactive. Let's not have the foul occur if not necessary. Just slows down the game, and we don't need more fouls on the field than necessary. Okay, miscellaneous. Referees blowing the whistle, gives orange signal whenever he declares ball ready for play. That's the 25-second clock. You know, there's no longer after every play where the referee would normally blow the whistle. All that happens is the beginning of play after time has been out or whatever, and the referee will blow the whistle. You have your standards of when to blow the whistle. Talk about that so you know what to do. Remember, you got the 25 or the 40-second. How did the clock stop? Basically determines what the referee's doing with the clock. Make sure all officials are capable of dealing with the coaches. You know, it can get a little heated on the sideline sometimes. Talk amongst yourselves there. Make sure nobody blows up at a coach. You know, give them the respect. Hopefully they're going to give you respect, but try not to let things get out of hand. You know, name calling, anything like that. Tend to walk away from stuff that happens on the field with the coaches, because you know it does go on every game, but be able to deal with it. Nobody has rabbit ears out there, and be smart. As long as it doesn't get personal, let's move on with the game. Sidelines, you know, got to keep the sideline area clean, especially the areas where the chains are kept. All right. And the head linesman also will be talking with his chain crew, whether it be officials or people from the home team. Make sure you're in communication with them people at all times. Watch for blocking below the waist out there. You know, it's a safety item. Let's get it under control. If somebody commits the foul, let's make sure we get the flag and the whistle out there. Make sure you see the ball before you blow the whistle. Very important. And, you know, I can't emphasize it enough in our pregame. Keep the whistle out of your mouth. Make sure, you know, counting of players, umpire, referee with the offense, deep wings with the defense. Let's give signals. You guys on the lines, you got your signals, double stake, all the kind. Make sure you're talking what means what signals you're going to use for unbalanced line. You know, make sure you have everything square before you walk out on that field. Inadvertent. Rule number one, just keep it out of your mouth and you won't have to discuss this, but know what's going on when you have an inadvertent whistle. Okay. Who has the call? Who has to make the decision? Who has the rights? Call what you see, but see what you call. You got a tough one out there. Everybody's had them. I mean, I've been doing it a long time. Everybody gets a tough call. You got to hang in there, throw that flag, blow the whistle, but do something or don't do something. One way or the other. Remember, a mistake by one is a mistake by all. So don't allow your co-officials to make an obvious mistake. Talk, O2Os. We could clean up the mess on the field before it becomes a problem. Make sure you're in position for all calls, hustle and be alert. Hustle is key out there. Everybody should know where they're supposed to be on all different plays, and the communication is key. Okay, that basically covers the pregame, what you're talking about. And, there could be extra stuff that you want to talk about, but that's up to maybe the crew that's working a certain type of game. There might be other things that you might want to talk about. Okay. Okay, game's over. Join other officials and leave the field together. Game ends. I'm already, as a referee, I'm looking around the field. Where's everybody? You want to get everybody together. So we're all walking off together. Use good judgment in any remarks to anyone. In other words, keep your mouth shut. Sometimes you're going to be out there where you're just going to want to, but we're wearing a uniform. We need to be smarter than them. Then make sure to complete game reports. That's usually with the referee and whatever division or game that you're calling, whether it's required or not. So that basically covers your end of the game duties. Okay. We're going to go to, if I can get there. Let's see. Yep, here we go. Okay. After you're done with the pregame with your other officials, you're going to, everybody's going to go out and do their thing out on the field. Your linesman's going to check out the change. The other officials are going to go out and check the markers on the field. And the infamous, after watching the game films that we've had over the past couple of weeks, get that goal line marker out of the way, because it just stirs up attention if you don't. And it could come back to haunt you. You don't need to be falling down over it. So right now, you're walking out. Now the referee and the umpire are going to go talk to the coach. And you meet the head coach, whether you know this person or not, always like to give names, hi, my name is, and it goes right around. Everybody introduces themselves right off the bat. I'm coming up. Coach, is your team legally equipped? Are there any unusual plays that we need to be made aware of? Are there any players that we need to deal with as far as any pads or anything like that? You're going to ask if he's got any left-handed quarterbacks or kickers, and referees, that's your option there to write that information down. If you don't think you're going to remember it. You're going to remind the coach about the length of the half. Okay. You already found out from the AD prior to that whether there's something going on. Sometimes the coach can help out with that too. At the end of halftime, that they're going to get their 15 minutes.
Yeah, the basket's here.
Hello? Okay. You're going to let them know the half is 15 minutes. Somebody from that brought them onto the field at the beginning of the game is going to be coming to get him at halftime to bring him out. Okay. You're going to ask for any questions, any coach, any questions about anything? Wide open for that. Or we want any discussion of rules and stuff. You'll be surprised throughout the season. You're going to get that. And especially the best ones are when, let me ask you about this play that happened last week. They're always the best ones. So deal with it in a responsible manner. Here's what the ruling is, blah, blah, blah. And so be the end of it. Don't let it turn into anything. You're going to ask for the adult chain crew Well, whether the coach gets involved with that, I think he gets more involved with that on a sub-varsity game than a varsity game. The AD is already taking care of that. I like to ask the coach, you have your get back coach. I want these sidelines clean, make sure they're out of the paint, blah, blah, blah. And then also at the end of the game, is there somebody here that's going to help with us? But I think that's more of a AD type question too. I mean, the head coach might know it, but I think you already got the answer from the AD. And also, before I walk away from coach, I've got this on my watch. Somebody will be at your locker room. And I like to tell them 12 to 13 minutes before, so that this way they can meet up to the teams and read the statement to them. And then after that, march down to the fields. The umpire's there with you because, he's going to be looking at player equipment. Now, if you're doing this pregame conference while you're on the field, this is where it comes important. You're inspecting the player equipment as a referee and as the umpire. As you're walking around out there, you're basically observing all the players out there. And already I've got questions for the coach. Coach, he's got to clean his face up. Those knees look to be covered, blah, blah, blah. That visor coach, what's going on with that? So you need to get that out of the way. And it's a good time before you, especially when you're on the field. When you're in the locker room, it gets a little tough, but you could still observe what's going on with these players and what they're wearing, what they're not wearing. Record number of players with illegal equipment, if that helps you out, so that after you've gone from the locker room back onto the field before the game begins, you're double checking with those people. And I know that does come into effect when you're dealing with players with the knees, because you'd be surprised. They like to fold them up and then they fold them down, but you need to have verbal communication and make sure they know that you know what's going on. Okay. The optics are out there for them to see you. Okay. So that's the pregame. Okay. Now we're going to go to the O2Os. That as we move forward, technology has really come a long way and it's helped this game out tremendously. Back in the day, everybody's running 60, 70 yards to get information about a foul. Now you just click a button and you're talking with each other. Recommended that use the Midland brand because it seems to ensure compatibility. And it seems to be the biggest name out there too. I mean, yes, there are other brands, but everybody I know, it's Midland. Make sure you're set up for push to talk. In other words, when you press the button, that's when you talk. You don't want to keep an open mic during the game. Okay. You might say something you'll regret later. Who knows? You want to make sure you have a channel that doesn't have interference. I've had situations where I've got into fields, depending on location, sometimes in the cities, you'll pick up, there'll be 3 or 4 other people on the same line. When it's the first aid squad, the police or whatever, get a channel that works and make sure you test it, hook the channel up, test your equipment before you go out onto the fields. Okay. We always do that before and you know what, I forgot to mention, when you get there to the game, give yourself a second extra or two for when you're getting dressed, because sometimes getting them mics on, getting your O2 on your body properly can take a little time sometimes. Prepare for that. When the clock operator has an O2O, make sure they got headphones. You do not want a clock operator working a radio without headphones. Okay. There's more than one person up in that press box. We don't need to share everything with everybody. Okay. So remember that. Okay. Now, remember, the use of the device doesn't replace any of the official signals or whatever. And you're going to deal with that amongst your crews, because especially ones that have been working together, you have your own little way to communicate with each other, but set it up in that pregame before you walk out onto the field, what everybody's doing. Okay. What's really, like I said, with the technology, what's really helped out, the deep wings with the O2Os makes it very easy with the referee. You're not running 40, 50 yards to get the information. Boom, boom. You're talking to each other. And then the time situations gives you a couple examples here of when you potentially could be using it. You know, maybe somebody didn't see the spot, you get an 020, you know, I got it under 42 or whatever. Clock time management, timeouts, talking to each other, make sure the clock is moving when it's supposed to, not moving, you know, react to it. Goal line reminders, you know, when you're within that parameter of the goal line, who's got the goal line first, who's covering it. I like when the deep wings are talking, goal line, end line, who's got what, the short wings, goal line responsibilities. And, you know, you'll hear that conversation. You'll see it before the play goes off, teams are walking up. You should be talking to each other at that point, okay? Positions on a try, kick or no kick. You know, if you can, you see somebody going for a field goal, it really comes to help the deep wings. If the short wings see this guy running onto the field or the referee's there, let the deep wings know, guys, you got to hustle back. You got to get down by the goalpost. Okay, be talking. Line to gain confirmations. Make sure, you know, both sides are talking to each other. That's the linesman, line judge. Player foul reporting. We'll talk about that in the next slide. Player conduct concerns. Hey, number 52, shooting his mouth off. Umpire, do you want to listen, see what's going on? Or the offense is complaining that they're interfering with the call. Blah, blah, blah. Make sure, you know, you got that on the 020, communicate with it. Your penalty enforcement options. Everybody's on that call when you're making the rulings and such. Somebody has something they forgot to say, make sure you're talking. Kickoffs out of bounds. I guess basically to help, you know, with potentially, you know, did the ball bounce before it went out? Did it go out? Did anybody not get it? You know, as a referee, I'm always going to stand there and make sure after observing what happens with the putter and such, you're picking up where the ball goes out. And this way you're helping them, the deep wings coming up the field, marking where the ball is in or out. Unusual situations. Okay. You know, somebody sees something on the field, you know, hey, Jerry, I got this. Make sure you double check on this guy. He looks a little tight over there. You're going to have to pick him up or blah, blah, blah. You know, if two guys are on top of each other, who's got who? Preventive officiating warnings, you know, particularly on the sidelines. You know, make sure the wing guys, you're talking, you know, something going on the sidelines. Coach, let's get back. Hey, Jimmy, that coach is standing up too close. Want to get them back up there, blah, blah, blah. Use the communications for your advantage. It's an offensive tool, use it. And then basically communication should be used mainly during the dead balls. Okay. Because once the ball is snapped, you know, it's already maybe a lot of times it can be too late to say anything, but why distract yourself when you're trying to stay focused on the field in front of you? Yeah, when the referee is doing his communicating or signaling to the press box, you know, stay off it so it doesn't interfere, because it could lead to the referee giving a wrong signal or maybe doing something he shouldn't. Who knows? But be smart, let him finish everything, and then proceed with the conversation. Devices are not a substitute for a desired verbal communication that is necessary times during the game between head coaches and referee. Basically, you're going to have to run over to the sideline, the referee, if the coach has a problem and he's not getting a clear answer that he wants to hear from his side wings, you know, from the short wings, and make sure they understand that if that referee comes to the sidelines, there could be a consequence from that little conference. Okay. You get a foul, crew members, make sure, and, you know, we've all probably done it at one point or another. I know I have. When you press down on that button, make sure you almost like 1/1000 before you start speaking, because there's going to be times you're talking before the button's even clicked and part of the conversation's missing. So make sure that button is down, give it a second, and then talk. You know, you're going to get the foul on who, and now after finding out now that right now we're going to start giving the number of the offender, where the foul happened, what was the ball doing? Okay. And this way the referee has a clear indication of what's going to happen when he talks to the coach to give him his options. And like I said, less is more on the conversation side. But outside of that, well, I see there's, let's see, we'll go back here. What was that? All right, that's basically about it for pregame, O2O, postgame, weekly before the game. But I hope this helps everybody. Like the key is, and I'm going to tell you, every crew, because I filled in on crews, I got my own crew, but basically a lot of people do things differently. But as long as you get your head into the game, this pregame is important to get you in that direction. You know, I mean, you've come off of a long drive or whatever, you come together, but this gets your head into the game so that you can go out there and give a quality game to everybody that's out on the field. And then hopefully when you're walking off that field, you're all shaking hands and great game, guys, and move on. And that's about it, unless somebody has anything else to add or question or whatever.
There,
I see somebody here, let's see. Talk about security to and from the field should be discussed. You know what? That's a good point. And I think some of that really, it depends on sometimes the sites that you're at. I mean, yes, you're going to clear this up with the AD. Remember, the AD is the site director. And before the game even starts, you should know, number one, about it, whether it's important or not, whether there's a doctor on the field, where the security people are, you know, and most games I've been to, I think there's cops at every game now. You got teachers that are working, you know, who you can fall back and stuff like that. But the AD is the man to go to for all that information. Okay. I don't know if that helps out with the security issue.
Again, sometimes knowing what we have in the South, we have it's designated in our contract now about security. I do believe.
Wow.
We just got done negotiations with the league, but I mean, if you don't have it, I mean, it's one of those things. I think nowadays that I would recommend that be paramount in your discussions with the AD during the week about on and off the field, who's going to escort you, because as we all know, it's now gotten a little bit
Testy.
free reign on what people can say to officials and how they can approach them, and we obviously want to limit that as much as possible. So make that part of your discussions. With regards to pregame, I think it's essential that, I mean, I notice a lot of crews. I mean, when we say pregame, you know, we think about the obvious words, pregame. When you get there, what time you get there, make sure it's an appropriate time. But with regard to that, I mean, we should probably start, you know, we have these availabilities now with Zoom, you know, Microsoft Teams, and, you know, all these different, if as a crew, if it's available to you, why not try and do your pre-games before you get there? I.e. meaning Wednesday, Thursday night. I know people, you know, you have a lot of people traveling to games, and some guys can only get there, you know, right fast enough to change their clothes, and you can't really have a great pregame. And it's probably, you know, I would encourage personally, if you have the availability to do that and set that up, start having your pre-games on, you know, like Wednesday, Thursday night, so you can really go through a lot of this stuff. And then when you get to the game, you can get in there and you know, cover up, you know, cover the little things that you have to do before that, before the game starts. Because like I said, some guys are traveling from the city to come to their games, and they're getting there 45 minutes before the game. It's not enough time to do a good pregame. long story short with that. And it's, but it is essential. Don't think because you've been doing it for 20, 25 years and your crew's been together for 17 that you don't have a good pregame, because that will bite you. Something will happen that will come back and bite you. So, remember those things you did when you came in and, how enthusiastic you were to have a great pregame. You should really be doing it in your 25th year. It should be a constant duty of the crew, and and get your and get guys involved, and just don't have one person speaking all the time, and the referee always delivering the message every week in, week out. Get guys to share, get guys to one guy leads this week, one guy leads that the next week, and so forth and so on. With regards to pregame, and then obviously halftime and postgame are a little bit different animals. With regards, to wrap things up, with regards to the wireless communication devices, or as we know, the O2Os, that is along with your pregame responsibilities. That is in your 6-man mechanic manual. And one thing you always want to preach is the communication devices do not replace what you do mechanics wise with your crew communication signals, your signals that are in the NFHS manual, the NJFOA manual. They're paramount. They are the first thing. But the O2O is now a great tool, as we did go over and talked about. Just please make sure, you, like Vic said, that you get the right channel. There's no other communication on that channel, because take the stance as you never know who's listening. And if you're saying something inappropriate and for some reason that gets recorded, next thing you know, that's on Facebook or YouTube, you are going to have a major problem, and you're going to have to answer a lot of questions. So keep it real simple. The KISS method, really. Keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
Just don't get yourself in trouble before you can get there. But
Hey, Scott,
yeah, go ahead. Vic.
one thing I forgot to mention with the O2Os, make sure at least one person, if not all, you got spare batteries with you, because I know most of them are all set up with the rechargeables, but I've been in positions where somebody left it on all week and they got no battery, it's dead. Somebody should always have spare batteries. They're all AA's. It doesn't hurt to have them with you. Okay. That's it for what I wanted to say, Scott.
Yeah. So with that, again, your pregame responsibilities are in the 6-man mechanic manual, and they're in the mid part of around pages 50 or 52 or 59 or something. I forget what it is. And then your O2Os are in the appendix, one of the appendix. And again, they'll, with a lead in from that, you'll be seeing an email coming out again from your signers that any mechanics changes that you want to submit or, talk about or, bring forward to the committee, you're more than welcome to do it for consideration. And if there aren't any questions, we're going to wrap things up for the
I have
evening.
one thing.
Yes, who is that?
This is Richard Kowski.
Go ahead.
At the last meeting, they were talking about defensive pass interference, and I think Jim's one who said if the defense commits pass interference on a scoring touchdown, offense would likely decline the penalty and accept the score. As strange as it seems, and we discussed this before in some meetings, Rule 822 says that they can take the penalty, take the points, and then mark the penalty off on a kickoff.
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
It was during the score.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Yeah, during the
822.
score.
If an opponent of the scoring team commits a foul other than unsportsmanlike conduct or non-player foul during a down in which a touchdown is scored and there was not a change of possession during the down, A may accept the results of the play and choose penalty enforcement of the penalty on the try or the subsequent kickoff.
Right.
So it's very
Right.
important.
So
Yeah, not a lot of guys know that.
did somebody say something to the other, or is what you're saying, Rich?
I'm sorry.
Was it brought up that it wasn't that way?
No, they rolled with it. Like Kapoor said, and I spoke to Jim about this. I guess he
Yeah.
just, decline the penalty and keep the score.
Yeah. In
But
high
you
school,
can
Jimmy
take
probably-
the penalty
yeah.
and keep the score.
in high
probably
school,
just
you
doesn't
never,
know
you
the
never
rule.
lose the penalty. You
Yeah,
know how to score. You never lose the penalty.
yeah. All right, so just making sure everyone knows that. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I had.
Anybody have anything else that they want to bring up? Otherwise, we'll wrap things up.
That's
for the
my umpire.
evening. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Vic, for your participation tonight. I want to thank everybody and remind everybody that March 23rd, 7:30, will be holding. That will be presented by Rob Rittarelli and the state rules interpreter, Mike Bartram. And we want to encourage everybody to participate. Again, thank you for this evening. Everybody
Scott?
stay, yeah. somebody
This is
said-
Dominic. Vic, Dominic Pender.
Yes, Dominic, go ahead.
Vic, your leadership. I mean, since I first got in, I worked my second ever varsity game with you.
Yeah,
And
I remember.
it was Hillside at Summit. And to your
Summit,
point,
remember
right?
the fight that broke out.
Your leadership has been paramount. I've always looked up to you since just getting in, and I continue to look up to you. So thanks for what you did for the entire state today.
No, I
Just with
appreciate that.
these pregame opportunities and O2O communications, it was well received, and I appreciate you guys just letting me continue to hang on. So thanks for the invite.
No, pleasure talking, buddy.
Not a problem. All right, with that being said,
Hey, Dom, it's Kevin Bobrowski. Do you remember your very first varsity football game
I do.
at Bernard's?
I do.
Yes, you do. All right, enough said. Love you, brother.
Love you guys too.
You're the
Thank
best.
you.
You're the best. I was there.
somebody's asked when the clinic is in August. It's August 5th. August 5th, Sayreville High School, starting at 8:30. Registration will obviously be before that. And I believe it's going to approximately 1:30. They got a nice lineup set up for that day. So we encourage everybody when the registration opens in May. I don't, again, have that exact date in front of me. We encourage everybody it was, well-received session last year. And we'd like to continue with that success and, make it bigger and better this year. So make sure that you take the time to look at, we'll be bringing it up. You'll hear it enough, trust me, with mailings and the obvious communication part of it. And then there was asked, are there any clinics between now and then? Not that I'm aware of, unless you see clinics. There is a clinic there are some clinics that are probably held. I know there's a Liberty Bell clinic. You can look that up. And there's used to be a clinic down south, more southern nights. You probably just have to Google clinics, high school clinics. So I see somebody just said Lutheran High School in Long Island just has one in June. So just gonna have to search for them, but we'd like to encourage everybody to go to clinics. So it never hurt you, trust me, and it's worth every penny spent. So with that being said, if we're all done for the evening, want everybody to stay safe and look for the next invite come out next week for the March 23rd session. And thank Vic for everything, and everybody stay safe, and we'll see you on the 23rd. Thank you very much.